I'd like to call to order the January 9th, 2023 meeting of the Oakdale Environmental Management Commission. We'll start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone would please stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we'll start with a roll call of those who are present. And so first off, Commissioner Girding.
Present.
Commissioner Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Brown is absent this evening, but we do have with us Kevin Zabel as our liaison, and we also have Shannon Reidlinger as our staff liaison. And the first item this evening is our approval of our meeting minutes from November 21st of last year. And do I have any changes or corrections to those meeting minutes? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve the November 21st, 2022 meeting minutes as written.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of approval of the November 21st, 2022 meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. So we'll start this evening, our agenda with our old business. And the first thing we have is the Adopt a Drain schedule for 2023. And the Environmental Management Commission has adopted 3 drains in Walton Park, or near Walton Park. And we have been cleaning those drains, and we've been doing it for 2 or 3 years now. And we have a new schedule here. And we have decided that in the winter months, there's not a need to clean the drains. Nothing is draining down into the storm sewer this time of year too much. So I think I don't know if we have any questions about that new schedule or any comments.
No questions about the schedule, but just a question about the process for us when we do our monthly cleanups. Is there something we should be filling out? Because when we track our own drains, when I track my own drain at home, it asked you for like, what was the sediment, pounds of stuff you clean up. Should we be telling you that, or reporting back to the city somehow? What could or should that process look like for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would certainly be relevant for us to be able to provide that data to the Adopt a Drain folks if we so decided. So that's one way that collecting that information would be helpful. The other thing I'm thinking of is that when we get to the conversation about our communication strategy, there's a lot that we can do as far as promoting Adopt a Drain goes with pictures that you take, or if you do have information about the type of things that are captured in the drain, that would be helpful when we're posting about this on social media or explaining it to other people. So I don't know that that's something that you have to do every single time, but if there is at least 1 month that you're cleaning the drain where you're able to provide information about what's captured and maybe take a picture or two, that would be very helpful.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay, and it looks like we start the year with, in March, our cleanup with Commissioner Wilson.
Yep, I'll be ready.
All right, if no other questions, or comments, we'll move on. Next, we have a review of the initial community engagement results for our Bike and Pedestrian Plan and an update on this project. And I'll turn it over to Shannon Reidlinger to provide us with an update on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So this is going to be a very brief update. In the past, we've had our consultant from Tool Design Group, who is helping us out with this project, Sean Murphy-Lopez, join the commission to go through a couple of engagement exercises. So you all are probably pretty familiar with the type of community engagement that we've done because you've been our guinea pigs for at least a portion of it. So I just wanted to give you a very brief update about how that process has gone with our community in general. In front of you, you do have a memo that provides many more details that I will probably cover today. So if you're looking for something specific, it's probably in this memo. But to go over that at a very high level, I do have a PowerPoint presentation that Sean gave to our city council members. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what they saw at the December 13th workshop. So where we are in the Bike and Pedestrian Plan process, we have completed a vast majority of our community engagement to date. Our consultant has put together a draft community engagement report for us, just to give us the general understanding of what kind of findings we're receiving. This community engagement report will help the consultant create plan recommendations. So that includes both goals and strategies and also a network map that will help the city understand where there are prioritized bike and pedestrian projects. So this is just a review of what we've done for community engagement. You'll see here our numbers are in the hundreds as far as the number of interactions we received. As a reminder, there probably are some of these folks that we've talked to who we've spoken with at a number of different engagement opportunities. So we're not necessarily counting people, but we are counting interactions. We are hovering right around at that 1% level as far as community engagement is concerned. What we're doing right now is trying to up that level a little bit by getting our Wikimap survey in front of more people. So we sent a reminder out through social media recently just to have people continuing to fill out the Wikimap. I'm working to see if we can't get that in front of more students. So not just individuals at Tartan High School, but also potentially some elementary and middle schoolers as well. That's the goal. But we are looking to wrap up community engagement here pretty quickly because we'd like to get to the point where we're starting to draft up these goals and strategies and get a draft plan in front of both our city council and the public. This is just an example of the type of things that we're looking forward to receiving in the finalized community engagement report. So you can see here that our consultant is taking the information that we receive from the questionnaire, from our conversations through the focus groups and the open house, and from the Wikimap to really start to understand what are the major themes in Oakdale when it comes to biking and walking. So, you'll see here that we have a key takeaway about the fact that most people who we have engaged with so far have indicated that they bike and walk for exercise, health, and enjoyment, not necessarily to get to primary destinations. So this is an example of one of those key takeaways. You'll see here we have a couple of other key takeaways. This one is about the type of facilities that are needed in the future network. And then this is a key takeaway about how most respondents would like some sort of a separation in their biking and walking paths from traffic. So again, these types of data analyses are used to create goals and strategies. You'll see here, and in the memo that you were provided, there's a whole list of draft goals and strategies. This list was presented to City Council at the December 13th workshop, and we basically said, does this look correct? Are we going in the right direction? We received the feedback that, yep, things, at least from a draft perspective, look okay, and we're kind of continuing down this roadmap. I don't foresee this changing a whole lot with any remaining community feedback that we receive, but it could, and that's why these are draft at this point. So like I mentioned, we're still kind of wrapping up that community engagement. We will be receiving a more finalized community engagement report that will probably be shared, that in fact will be shared with council. And it's probably something that we can put in front of the commission as well. I anticipate that Sean will have more to share with the commission. There might be other opportunities for engagement with some of the draft content later on down the line, so the EMC may be asked to provide more feedback on the content that's being created, potentially on the network map, potentially on those goals and strategies. So more to come with that, but I just want to let you know that we are moving along in the process and we're starting to get some pretty cool content created for us. If there are any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them. Otherwise, I will just throw those questions on to Sean and then get you an update as soon as I can.
One question that I have is I'm wondering if, while they're also gathering this data for Oakdale, are they talking to neighboring communities like Woodbury and Lake Elmo and others that border Oakdale to make sure that, there isn't a big difference in the type and the approach to the bike and pedestrian paths and that?
Yeah, so neither our consultant nor myself are talking directly to those neighboring cities, but what we are doing and what we have done at the very initial stages of this project is go through and look at all of those different communities' bike and pedestrian systems so that there's an understanding of what the trail system looks like in our neighboring communities, and then what sort of goals and strategies they have when it comes to the future of their own bike and pedestrian network. So there was a system map that was created in phase 1 of this project that kind of outlines all of those different facilities from neighboring communities. That's probably as deep as we'll go into that portion of it. It's important to realize that this is not a plan that's created in a vacuum, but we're kind of prioritizing what the needs of the community are.
Okay. One other comment, saw that in this, it looked like there was an interest in having the bike and pedestrian paths separate from traffic, and rather than having like bike lanes on the roads and that sort of thing. So I'm wondering, with that, they will be also then looking at the current bike paths that we have, bike and pedestrian paths, to make sure that they'll handle both bikes and pedestrians if the bikes are going to be taken mainly off the road and onto pathways.
Yeah, I would assume so as well. So if what we're hearing is that our residents would like separation, then the job of the consultant is to come back to us to say, these are all the different ways that we can make separation happen. So it could be 2 different paths. It could be just a path with some bolsters. It could be a variety of different things, but we need those recommendations put into the plan, and that's what tool design will do for us. They're not going to tell us what we should do per se, but they will give us those options. They'll help us prioritize those options, and then we take it to City Council for more immediate action steps after that.
Yeah.
Would that include the path in the nature center, or is that deemed separate?
Potentially. So if Tool hears from a number of people that the nature center trails in specific need to be looked at in a different way, then they'll provide a more specific recommendation for the nature center. If they're not necessarily hearing the nature center targeted in the feedback, then they may not provide that sort of specialized recommendation. So it just depends on the analysis and what they hear.
And I imagine that although the the reason people use the bike, well, it sounds like it's mainly used for recreation, both bicycling and walking is more recreational enjoyment type thing. With the goal line going in, that could possibly change. So I mean, that is also something that will be taken into consideration, I imagine.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that we're hearing these responses from the people that we've engaged with so far. So there could be a whole section of the population that does actually use the trails for transportation. We just haven't gotten the chance to be able to speak to those individuals. So a lot of what the recommendations will be is going to be direct feedback from our community engagement, but I think that it's important for us to overlay Oakdale's existing transit system on top of that, which is, again, one of the things that we did in the first phase, was to think through where are all of our bus stops, where are all our crossings, how could we potentially think through where people are likely to be moving towards, even if they're not reflected in our community engagement. So that'll be overlaid. It's just we'll have to do a little bit of a assuming a little bit on the consultant's part.
Yeah, it would be good to have that infrastructure in place for biking and walking to the goal line.
Yep.
To encourage use of the rapid transit.
I appreciate the update, and I also appreciate that, excuse me, the numbers in terms of engagement data was centered on actual engagements and not like duplicated or unduplicated individual. So I think it seems to be more holistic. And in that same lens, do we have a good understanding of the business pulse on all of this? It kind of relates to what Chair Miller was saying about Gold Line and different ways of thinking about access. But in terms of the engagement that's been done thus far, is it fair to assume that the business community has also been equally as engaged in this?
I don't know that the business community was targeted in quite the same way. I will say that the community development, community development, too many community titles
So many.
being thrown around right now. Community development team has been doing a lot of business expansion and retention and conversations with businesses in Oakdale, and when they go, there is they make mention of the Bike and Pedestrian Plan. For example, I think that the Animal Emergency Referral Center has given us a couple of thoughts on what sort of paths they'd like to see around their business. But that's a lot of kind of one-off ad hoc conversations. I'm not sure that we've had the chance to really target our business community quite as much as just residents.
Okay, thanks.
Any other comments or questions for Shannon? All right, well, thank you, Shannon. Thanks for the update, and it looks like this is coming along very nicely, and good engagement with the community, and we look forward to the next update on this. It's an important part of our work for this year. All right, on to new business. We now have our annual election of commission chair and vice chair. This is in accordance with Chapter 6 of the City Code of Ordinances, that we shall elect a chair and vice chair each year at our first meeting. And this process we'll start with the chair, and the nominations for chair, I will say they're now open, and the nominations do not require a second.
on somebody.
Well, can I
will make a
nominate
mo-
Keith Miller for chair?
Out of my mouth.
Okay.
All right, there's a motion to nominate Commissioner Miller for the chair position. Are there any other nominations? So I would invite a motion then to close nominations for the position of chair.
I will make a motion to close nominations for position of chair.
I don't think we will need to use the ballots in this case. So there'll just be a voice vote at this point. All in favor of all in favor of passing the nomination of chair and electing Commissioner Miller to the chair position, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, I guess I'm chair now for another year. And now look to the position of vice chair. And again, we will not require a second as well for a nomination for vice chair.
I nominate Commissioner Girding.
And I'll second that nomination and also make a motion to close nominations for the position of vice chair. So I would also enter a motion to elect Commissioner Girding for the position of vice chair of the Environmental Management Commission for the 2023.
I second.
Thank you. And again, a voice vote will, I think, suffice here. So all in favor of Commissioner Girding for vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Congratulations, Commissioner Girding, another year as vice chair.
Thank you, Chair Miller.
So I need to go back and actually get a motion for the chair. I did not do that.
I think you're fine.
We're good?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So now that we have that taken care of for another year, we have as a major new item of business and something that we discussed at our November meeting to some degree, but we'd like to dive in even deeper this month and looking at our communications strategy for the Environmental Management Commission and with developing a editorial calendar for the year and using this as a communications tool to inform the citizens of Oakdale, and also how we can use this, promote various events and programs throughout the year. And I think I'll turn this over to you, Shannon, to kind of walk us through this.
Thank you. So a lot of this will be content that you probably have already seen before. This will be our third time going through an annual calendar. So, as far as the strategy is concerned, I think we're old hat. The specifics are what I would like to talk with the commission about tonight. You'll see here at the very top of the memo that's been written for this topic that I tried to identify some bullet points of things that I'm hoping the commission can talk about. So when you're going through the calendar, be thinking about whether or not there are themes that are maybe repetitive or things that are missing entirely that you would like to see added into the calendar. Be cognizant of whether or not the calendar reflects the priorities of the 2023 EMC work plan, which, as a reminder, is focused pretty hard this year on education. And then also we're trying to amp up the water conservation side of the plan this year as opposed to previous years. So there's a couple of reminders for the work plan. The other thing that I would really like the commission to discuss in more detail is this idea of commissioner engagement. So one of the major differences in the editorial calendar this year is that I added a third column in the calendar to try and get us to start thinking through whether or not there are specific types of engagement that you would like to see each month based on the theme. And that really surfaced because in our conversation about the 2023 work plan, the commission threw out ideas like hosting a environmental fair or doing a ride and drive or even doing a Cub Bill clinic. And those are the types of things where if we know that we want to do them in advance, we can work through to have the commission be participating on a deeper level than just coming to the meetings and approving the monthly calendar. So that's what I'm hoping that you guys will focus on in this conversation. Oh, and last thing too, if there are specific types of communication outlets that you would like to see us taking advantage of. So we know the traditional ones, social media. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram. We also have LinkedIn. I don't know that we've been using it quite as much, but that is a tool that's in the city's toolkit. We have the Oakdale Update newsletter. There's our website, but there may be other communication channels that we haven't considered. So I know Nextdoor is popular in some communities. I don't know how popular it is here in Oakdale, but it is an option. Email listservs, that sort of a thing. So if there are specific communication channels that you would like to see highlighted in a month, let me know that as well.
I think that the sharing pictures idea is really good. Do we send them to you or to someone else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Everything you do, if you want to get a message out to somebody else in the city, just send it to me first and it's just easier so that you don't have to remember who to talk to.
I would just say for the record that I love the third column.
And this is very much a draft, I think honestly, a living draft throughout the year. The third column can change at any point.
Yes, and I also like the addition of that commission engagement as well as staff engagement on the various activities. And I think starting in January with energy efficiency, we're in I think everybody got their first big energy bill beginning of the month here. So I know my wife was very shocked. I wasn't too shocked, but costs have gone up. So I think that this is a good time to, help people cut their energy costs. And I see that actually tomorrow is National Cut Your Energy Costs Day. So, yeah, what we can do to stress that. And it's been a while since we've had a home energy audit, and I will make a point to try to do that this month, and if I can to, share that experience as well.
I will say, our commission is one of a number of commissions at the city. Our communication staff have a number of things that they get out every single day on social media. So we don't have unlimited time on social media for these messages. We usually get maybe 2 or 3 posts a month. So if this is something where we still want to push out a message, we can share, for example, your experience, Keith, with the home energy audit on our website. And that's a place where if people go to the website for these resources and information, they see a story of a resident from Oakdale having experienced this for themselves. So that's another way that we can kind of push that education without relying on a social media post at a specific time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I really like the initial draft of this. And, you know, like you say, this will be a living document, so as we each month can take a look, and if things come up, you know, edit it or add to it. One thing that I did notice was in October, you have renewable energy, and I think you probably wanted to have energy efficiency again, and that we already have renewable energy in June. And I like having in October, before we get into the home heating season, to have this be a focus so that people can possibly take some action if they need to boost their insulation in the attic or something before get an audit, at least to see where they may need to do some energy efficiency improvement before it gets really cold.
Sure.
Otherwise, I think the monthly themes are good.
Okay.
And for water conservation, in August, I think having a person from a watershed district, and I would recommend the Ramsey, Washington watershed district, because I think they're the largest, well, they are the largest in serving Oakdale. The others are a smaller part of Oakdale. So I think if we could have a representative, and they have talked to us in the past, but not for a while, so I think it'd be good to have them back in and talking to us.
I noticed
The
that it
topic
says something about March, having representative during the regular meeting of the EMC in March. And I'm wondering, is that a typo, or would it be for the next March, or?
In March?
At the end of the August, under Commission Community
Oh, yes,
Engagement?
yeah, yep. It should be August. I see what you're
Oh,
saying.
okay.
Calling out March for a minute, we have it's a lot of water and environmental stuff, but yet the topic, at least leading into this, is reuse and recycle. I'm thinking, maybe there's a different theme
Yeah.
for March that we could have. It's, because our other watershed education was what? Water conservation for August. So maybe we just either repurpose that as things are starting to thaw, or, I don't know, what do other commission members think?
Yeah, actually, water conservation would, in the springtime might be a good time to have them talk about that, because, you
People
know,
are,
from your experience of having a plan put together for, by them, you know, can act on it yet in 2023 if it's done in the springtime.
right,
Or if it's done in August, that may not be able to
right.
do anything yet.
So you're saying move the whole staff coordinate a guest presentation by representatives, move that to March?
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm thinking there may be, because in March, we anticipate sharing rain barrels, rain gardens, the environmental center, the business recycling program. In August, we've got the adopt a drain, adopt a wetland, consultation ask. So we could either, because it is an education year, specifically within water conservation, I don't think there's any harm in having it twice,
Okay.
right?
So
No.
should we
And
add
that may
it?
have been part of the strategy, I think, too. So,
So should we add it to the March list then?
I think what I'm hearing is just to refocus March a little bit more specifically around water
Around water.
conservation. Yeah,
Oh,
because
okay.
we have it, the first bullet point in the second column is around rain barrels. There are a couple of days in particular on the national calendar that have to do with water quality. So I think I'm hearing just make that more of the focus of the month of
Right.
March rather than including in all the rest of the stuff.
lead with that theme.
Yep.
Yep, lead.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. I think that's right around the time that the rain barrel and compost bin sale happens with the county anyway, so. I
And
think,
people are thinking about watering their gardens and cleaning out beds and everything, so it's, yeah, it
Sure.
fits. Sure.
Well, I think, yeah, I think that would work well, because then we would be doubling up on the water conservation theme, and we have reuse and recycling in November, so we will still be covering that, but in this case, not twice. So
Yep.
I think
Right.
that's good. And, yeah, I think this looks good as a draft to start with and start the year with. And like I say, it's a living document, and we can edit it as we go along. But I like this format with the added column, and I think we really want to get the commissioners involved and out at various events and doing various things to help, demonstrate that to our residents that this stuff can be done easily, and have someone that they can talk to about it at an event or something. And so I like this. And I also like the idea of incorporating an environmental fair, and that, the energy fair that was conducted in the past has gone away, and we really have had a kind of a gap in community engagement at an environmental or energy fair. So I think adding that at the Oakdale Discovery Center would be a good thing to do this year. And I see that's in June. It sounds like a good month to host that, get more people out, and if they're interested in that. And yeah, I think that the timing looks good to me. And just And that's when we'll be kind of kicking off, assuming there's another Grow Solar Twin Cities program, we're kicking that off, and it would be a chance to engage in person rather than just through Zoom with residents, so that'd be good. All right, any other comments, commissioners, or questions?
Just one related to November and December, and forgive me, commissioners, I may not be enough distance from the holiday season, even though it's, because it's only January, what, 9th? But I'm wondering if there's another, because I like the separation between reuse and recycling and low waste. And when I think of low waste holidays, I still think of food. So I'm wondering if there's another plug or a simple thing that we can remind people about composting also in December.
Yeah, I think composting in general is relevant throughout
Every month,
most
every
of the
day.
end of the year.
Right.
Halloween,
Agreed.
and then, yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, I think we have a good communications plan for the year, and thank you for putting that together, Shannon. And thanks to also the communications staff with the city too, working with us on this. All right. Well, that's the end of our new business, but we do have time for commissioner updates. And wondering if there are any updates on anything from you.
I have one.
Yes.
As you know, there's a team called Oakdale Wellness 50 Plus. And we have events all year long, many of them at the Discovery Center. But we're starting a new series in February called Reducing Your Waste Stream. It's a 3-part series on how you can reduce household waste streams. So the first part will be a presentation at the Oakdale Discovery Center on February 16th from 6 to 7:30. So there will be a speaker, a Washington County environmental specialist is going to talk about recycling, food scraps, and other ways to reduce the waste. Then on Tuesday, February 28th, there will be a guided tour of the Washington County Environmental Center in Cottage Grove. And then on Thursday, March 2nd, there will be a guided tour of the Recycling and Energy Center in Newport. I've talked to people who've been on these tours, and they say they're really fascinating. So you can find this information, you can Google Oakdale Wellness 50 Plus, or you can go to the Oakdale Discovery Center website where we have a section. And it's good to make a reservation for those tours because one is limited to 25 and the other is limited to 35. But I think that anybody who takes us up on that will be really pleased.
I personally have done the tour in Newport. It is fascinating. It's so interesting. So plugging that for sure.
I'll do a couple of homeowner plugs here. Always, even though there may not be drains to clean, drains still can drain, albeit a little slower in the wintertime with all these snow plow mounds we have. So just a reminder, if you can, to get out there and make sure that your drain grates can breathe. Chop the ice away if you can. And then in other news, our planning for rain gardens and work with the watershed continues. They've been wonderful. So another plug for the Ramsey Washington Metro Watershed District and their programs. They're top notch. So we expect to do some projects at our residence this summer. So that's continuing.
And I'll just mention that the environmental commissioners have been having an annual meeting, and I believe it's scheduled for April this year. And if you haven't received a note on that, I can forward you information I've received. All I've received at this point is a save the date notice for that environmental conference of commissioners throughout the Twin Cities area, inviting all the Environmental Commission members to attend that. So I can send that out.
You say it was April sometime, Chairman?
Yes, and I'm sorry I didn't bring that with me this evening, but I'll send you an email with the information, because I think both of you have attended those in the past, and they're quite valuable. Not only making connections, but finding out a lot of great things that are being done by other cities. Any other updates? Well, Kevin Zabel, our new mayor, thank you very much for being here this evening.
Absolutely. Always happy to come hang out with the EMC. Only a couple updates. It's a quiet time of the year for us, knock on wood, but we wrapped up 2022 with the adoption of the property tax levy and finalizing the 2023 budget. So that's always a very heavy lift for the city council and the city staff. So we just want to offer a tremendous thank you to all of our staff who work so hard on prepping those materials for us. And then my other update is tomorrow will be the first meeting of the year for the city council. So we are kicking things off right away with the swearing in of Andy Morcom, our new city council member, swearing in Susan Olson to her second term on the city council, and I'll be sworn in as mayor. So in addition to that, we just have a few development items that came from the Planning Commission. Otherwise, it's a nice light agenda this time. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Nothing. Love it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Our next regular meeting of our commission will be held on February 13th at 7 p.m. here in the council chambers at City Hall. And with that, I would look for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjourning our January 9th, 2023 meeting of the Oakdale Environmental Management Commission, say aye.
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 Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.